Welcome to Dadvertising.
Aloha, Alan.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode with Alan and Alex talking about... What are we talking about today, my friend Alex?
Today, well, we're going to be, exploring your journey to Hawaii.
A faraway land?
To faraway lands, to the great states of America, including the somewhat forgotten state of Hawaii, which is very far from America, right? It's like in the middle of the ocean.
It's a 5-hour trip from LAX to Hawaii. Yeah,
There you go. It's halfway to Australia, basically.
Yeah, it's the perfect place to break up a trip to the US.
Yes, perfect. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So you've been away for a couple of weeks. You got back on Monday this week.
Monday night.
It is currently Thursday. We've had a bit of a debrief on how it was. I want to dig into it because you are on a holiday. There's two additional factors to taking a holiday as Alan Howle or as me. You're going with a business to run and you're going with kids to manage. So whereas a lot of my friends, for example, if they've got a job, they put in for PTO, they go away.
What's PTO stand
Paid time
for?
off.
Oh, paid time off.
Paid time off. Ali, for example, my wife.
Yeah. My wife.
Puts in time. Borat's back, baby. Very nice. My wife, Ali, puts in for time off and just leaves work that day and doesn't think about it till she gets back.
Yeah.
Maybe she does a little bit because she's like best mates with the people running it and she cares.
Yes.
She doesn't need to do shit.
Yeah.
Work continues.
Yeah.
Right? For you, for me, for the people running businesses out there, 'tis not the case.
No.
'Tis, and I dare say, it can be a bit nerve-wracking leading up to the holiday. Stressful, thinking, how's it going to go?
How'd you know?
Well, I mean, I'm going away in 10 days.
Yes.
I'm going away 10 days from now. And
it's already started for you?
do you try and get in more money before you go away, but then you have more delivery to do? Do you wind down delivery before you go so you can have more of a relaxing time?
Yeah.
What do you do? And so, let's talk about it, man. Welcome back. How was your holiday?
Thank you. I had an incredible holiday. So as you've just mentioned, spent, I think it was a total of 14 days or just over 15 away. So we started by leaving Sydney on a Monday and we left Sydney, I think it was about 3 p.m. Oh, no, it was 5 p.m. We left 5 p.m. from Sydney and
Please
arrived...
be specific with every minute of the holiday.
And then arrived in LA roughly at about 2 p.m. local time. Yeah. The same time, the same day. And then, we spent the next few days. So we spent 4 days in and around Disneyland. So 2 in Disneyland, 2 in California Adventure, which is basically another theme park next to Disneyland. Also spent a day at Universal Studios. Also spent another day at another place called the Great Wolf Lodge. Basically like the equivalent of a Wet n Wild indoors.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And then the last 6 days of our trip, we stopped over in Hawaii. That was really cool, relaxing. I did a little bit of shark diving, did some scuba diving. So it was a really great holiday. Yeah. Lots of memories. The magic of Disney is real. We're talking about it just in the car, just on the way here. But it is real, especially if you've got kids who are young. It was epic.
How good, man. How good. Just quickly on the shark diving.
Yeah.
Did you have your phone down there filming?
Yeah.
How are you doing that?
Yeah. So my brother-in-law, Jason, he had his phone, but it was all wrapped up in some sort of case, some waterproof case. And that's how so that footage that if for anyone who follows my stories, that is how you would have seen that footage. So he was sort of filming. I had his GoPro. He's putting a video together, but he was using his phone. And
strap it onto his wrist or anything? Because phones sink.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's got a little strap to his wrist.
Yeah.
And it's got like water housing or camera housing, whatever it's called.
But they are waterproof, right?
I think so.
In theory. You see people do it, but...
I think so. Well, I don't know. Like, I've got an iPhone 15. I wouldn't know whether it is.
I've never tested it.
Well, I have. When they came out and said that we're building a waterproof iPhone, I definitely tested it.
Yeah.
And I actually used to use it at Cables, the water ski park. So I used to use my phone at Cables whilst I was skiing and stuff like that, and it definitely works.
You're a water skier?
A wakeboarder.
Are you?
Yes.
And there's
not
always
great.
more layers to you, Alan.
Not
You're like a tiramisu.
So, yeah, I like to do occasional wakeboarding down at... There's all these fun things to do in Penrith when you stop shitting on it.
Penrith? Is it on like the...
Yes,
is it on a river of raw sewage?
No,
is it on the
it's
lake?
got there's a lake and it's got water ski. It's got water skiing and wakeboarding and all that other stuff on there. Anyway,
yeah.
But,
everyone's got to use their jet skis for something, right?
Exactly.
Oh, good, man.
Yeah,
that's mad.
Absolutely.
Okay, sweet. So, that sounds like a full-on holiday.
Yes.
4 days of theme park, 6 days in Hawaii. A little bit calmer, but yeah, as you said, I saw you on boats. I saw you doing a bunch of stuff.
Yep.
That's mad. But you do seem energetic. You seem refreshed.
Yes.
How were you on Tuesday?
Tuesday just come. Tired. So the good thing is so I think, don't know which way around it is, but like, I think LA is basically 8 hours behind Sydney.
Yeah.
Oh, like it's the day past, but it's 8 hours roughly.
Yeah, it's always yesterday evening in the morning.
That's right. And then so when you go to Hawaii, you're 4 hours closer. So it's only a 4 hour time difference. So even the difference between California and Hawaii, the time difference made it a little bit easier. And then again, I am waking up super early.
Yeah.
Like I woke up at 4 o'clock. On Tuesday I woke up at 4 o'clock. I couldn't sleep. Actually woke up at 3:30, waited till 4, and then felt like 4 a.m. was a reasonable time to go for my walk instead of 3:30 anyway. So I went for a walk and started my day. But Yeah,
the 3 number is very jarring for a wake up time.
Yeah.
I think
it is
4 you
super.
can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool, man. Amazing. And so let's jump into a few things. We'll get into the boring business stuff later on. I'm good without the notebook, bro. Thank you, man.
I always offer it, and you always reject me.
Yeah. I can't read can you read any of my handwriting?
I can't
write for shit.
Oh, it says booze and...
It doesn't say booze. It's best and worst.
Oh, best and worst. It's...
Best ride.
By far, the Star Wars, it's called Rise of the Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Rise of the Rebellion in the Star Wars section of Disneyland. That was sick.
Okay.
I'll have to get our podcast guy to overlay the footage, but it was just me and Oski who went on that ride because it was the longest by far. But the detail that, like, for anyone who's been to Disneyland, you'll be able to recognize the detail that they put into their rides, the whole area. Like, they have a whole area dedicated to look like Star Wars. And even, like, to the degree where they've got, like, where Coca-Cola, they've got, like, Coca-Cola themed bottles that look like little grenades. The Coke, Sprite, Diet Coke, Fanta, etc. They're all Star Wars themed.
Is that a Star Wars thing, a grenade?
Yeah, well, it looks like it's like a little round bottle, and it's got like a grenade. I'll have to get a photo or something for you. But yeah, like they've got grenade like bottles. But even like above and beyond that, like the amount of detail that they put into like making these areas really look and feel like you're walking into them as well. So the Star Wars ride was my absolute favorite. Special mention to Universal Studios where the Harry Potter section is. That was sick as well. Harry Potter was fantastic. So you can, in the Harry Potter section, you can actually buy a wand and then go to the windows and like they will tell you where to stand and you can actually do little things, and then the things in the windows like plants and stuff move as it's sick.
So good.
Yeah. So that was sick. So the Star Wars part was really cool. The event, my little boy loved the Avengers part. In Universal Studios, Super Mario was cool. That was cool. Like you've got all the different things that are just moving. Like the amount of detail that they put in to make these like just everything just fall into place. It's just really cool.
Immerse you in that.
Yeah. Especially like with Disney, right? So again, you've got Disneyland, the California Adventure Park, 2 separate parks. We spent 2 days at each park, and you really do need 2 days. I suggest you need 2 days each, because you won't get it done in one day. Even like we had what's called the Genie Pass, so you could go on the fast ride, like you could book in to go on the fast lane.
Yep.
And there's a method to like doing that as well, but for the most part, yeah, you won't get it all done in one day. It's that big. There's lots to do. And, you know, especially with kids, they love walking into shops and looking at things and picking up things and whatnot. Oski, our little 6-year-old boy, he loved having photos with all the characters, especially like Spider-Man, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, all of those people. We were trying to get a photo with Chewbacca.
Yes.
The Wookiee, but he wasn't. He was like, I've got a video, but he was up on a podium. He wouldn't come down for some reason, but it is such a magical place.
Wouldn't come down off his podium.
No, he's up like it's hard to explain, but he's basically up in this Star Wars section looking over, sort of waving at everyone. But yeah, for that day or for that period of time, he just wasn't coming down. So. Anyway.
Reminds me of you a little bit, kind of like up on your pedestal. You know, it's a little bit too good for us. You know?
What have I done now? Talk to me about your feelings.
No, you're a wonderful man. You did come to my house 3 hours early today, which was nice. But you were very good. You were a very good house guest. You were quiet. You left the light on in the bathroom, but you didn't turn on the main light. And you complimented my bolognese. So we're good, man. Yeah. Are you a Star Wars family?
No. Like I've watched all the Star Wars, but I wouldn't say that I'm a fanatic or whatever. Cool thing is that they have they had Star Wars nights. So we were leaving, and then like all the people dressed up in the Star Wars gear were all heading, like, because there was like a special ticket you could buy for like the big Star Wars party. Yeah. That was like, that's what Disney does really, really well. But yeah, no, not like a Star Wars nerd as such. But yeah, just an admirer of the movies in general.
Cool, man. Yeah, because Star Wars doesn't excite me at all, but the Harry Potter does. Yeah. I feel like you get kind of Star Wars, Marvel people, and then you get like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings people. Yeah. Fantasy people. I mean, fantasy more than sci-fi. Ali much prefers Star Wars. That sort of thing. Yeah, which is interesting.
No, so it's really cool.
That's mad, bro. Yeah, okay. I've written worst there. I'm trying to think what's a funny worst thing. What's the worst meal you had? Grim. You're like, oh, fuck, this wasn't worth it.
Okay, so I had in the Super Mario section, I had what I think it's called a calzone.
Just a turtle?
No, it's like so you know how in the like you've got the mushroom, mushroom toad, whatever his name is. There was like a toad pizza. It was sort of like a mushroom. Oh yeah, makes sense. Is it calzone a pizza?
Calzone, it's a folded over pizza.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So it had mushrooms, pepperoni, and it was like, because it had to be red, white, and looking like toad. That it looked great, but it didn't taste that great. Yeah, my kids thought it was going to be an amazing idea and absolutely hated mushroom in their pizza. Right. The moment that they started eating it. So, but that's okay. Yeah, that was all right.
They had a go.
Yes, they tried a lot of different foods and didn't like it. The other thing as well is in Hawaii they have a huge thing around Spam.
We mentioned this, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes. So like the history goes basically back in the World War, when America was setting up like their defense forces and everything else. Part of Spam was part of the rations, and the Hawaiians absolutely loved it. And so there's especially after now Pearl Harbor and all the other things, and obviously go and do your own research about Hawaii and whatnot. But there is a big, like, now that all of that's settled and obviously the war's completed and all the other things, there is a real big Japanese presence and Asian presence in Hawaii. And so you'll notice that there's a lot of seafood, rice, and Spam. randomly, right? And so even in like some of the what's called ABC stores, which is like basically your convenience stores, the equivalent, they will have Spam sushi. So a layer of a Spam with rice in teriyaki sauce or whatever the case is. And Spam is just it's in all of the different menus, in all the different meals. We've had a meal at the Cheesecake Factory. So there's an actual restaurant to it. They had Spam meals in their menu and things like that. So that's a Hawaiian thing as well. Yeah.
How good, man. I found that really funny when I went over there.
Yeah.
Like, because you're expecting all the other stuff, the coconut, the fish, and then it's Spam, salted, processed pork.
Yes.
How good.
Yeah, so, but, and then I think, like, the other thing that I probably didn't know, and anyone who's been to America, you sort of will notice this, is the homelessness is pretty bad.
Yeah.
Across, mainly, like, really bad in LA and California in general, but it extends to Hawaii as well.
Yeah, right.
And I actually think, like, there's been rumors, obviously don't know what's true and whatnot, because I asked a couple of people, but apparently they actually, because of the warmer weather in Hawaii, that there's a theory or there's a rumor that some of the homeless are sent to Hawaii so that they don't freeze to death. In Hawaii, like they've got the weather and things like that, but it makes you very grateful for what we have here in Australia, the system. I know that we obviously have homeless here and you know, for a range of different reasons, but you just get a sense that with the way that, like, there's just so many differences, and I think as much as I sometimes disagree with what the government does and things like that, I think for the most part, we've got it pretty good here in Australia.
How good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Legal disclaimer, we are on the side of the government 100%. As the new e-safety
laws. We're not getting cancelled, eh?
New e-safety laws are coming into place. Do not censor our content. We are here for you. We will comply.
Won't we, Alan?
Yes.
Yes.
Alan,
yes, I
pressing
will.
your foot under the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Advertising the government-funded version. Hell yeah, man. Well, that's good. And then let's talk about the parenting side of it, because at my age, parenting on a holiday, like we were talking about in the car on the way here, you said, in Fiji, what activities are you doing? And I said, none, because it's too overwhelming to try and pack too much in. Obviously, that's an activity-based holiday, what you just did.
Yeah.
How did the kids handle it, and how were you able to, maybe for someone who hasn't taken their kids for a massive trip like that, how did you find managing their energy, their attention through things like, even the flight there is pretty messed up, and then getting there, you got to find a balance between doing enough and then doing too much, and you often learn when you've done too much after the fact.
100%. All right. So the first thing that we actually talked about on the way here is, and I thought it was a good point that you're doing to Fiji, is we actually created like a little plan as to what we're doing each day. So Monday we're flying. Tuesday we'll, basically be there. We're going to Disneyland. We had a picture. And basically, and also had a countdown towards it, because Oski still struggles with the understanding of, we're going to America. Are we going tomorrow?
Oski being 6 years old, yeah.
Yes, correct. So, no, Oski, we're going in 2 weeks' time. So we did a little countdown, and then we also had what we're doing on each day with a picture, so that we could explain it and walk through it and help them to understand what's going on. It is a good point, because when we went to Disneyland, especially like all these theme parks, there was a lot of walking, right? Yeah. I've got a step tracker, and there was one day, well, in fairness, I did, cause my health exercise thing is walking, I did a 5K walk to begin with, and then did a day at Disneyland, our first day, and I ended up clocking 35,000 steps, right? Or close to it.
That's a half marathon.
Yeah. Well, what it made me realize is I don't really, especially when we're walking around these theme parks, I don't need to go and do my 5 or 6K walk in the morning. No. I can leave that. But for the kids, That's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
That is a lot of walking. So the place that we stayed at, it was about 500 meters down the road from Disneyland. Like, so we could walk, but there were days where we walked to Disneyland and caught a bus home, even though it's 500 meters down the road, roughly a 10-minute walk. Their legs, like both of them were complaining typically by the end of each day.
Yeah.
And so you want to obviously manage all that. I think the most important part is, and the hardest part is finding foods that they actually are going to eat. So Jess packed, very, very wisely packed Wheat Bix for Oski. The other thing is he really didn't eat a lot of things. Like for the most part, and we worked this out when we got to Hawaii, is that we basically got him to eat, he's happy to eat hotcakes from Macca's, or even Ruby eats like a bacon and egg McMuffin. So Macca's was a little bit of a savior when it comes to like
it's familiar,
food.
right?
Yeah,
getting familiar.
Exactly, getting food into them because they're not big fans on Spam and other things that are going on. So that was big, obviously, getting them fed and making sure that they're eating stuff. That was a little bit difficult at times, depending on where you were and what food options were available. There's lots of, by the way, the food options in all of the theme parks are great. However, not all of them are suited or catered. Like, it's not just, like the majority of things is like pizza, burgers, chicken wings, chips, right?
Yeah.
And they're the typical things that you'll find at the majority of the places. But then they do have like, especially Disney had like a food and wine thing where they had different meals and different things. So that was a little bit difficult sometimes to find the right food. But for the most part, they did really well. So like booking buses, actually having a day off, but also getting them to buy in on what we're doing. Like I took them, so we did a day at Disney, and then the following day after that, one day Disney, one day California Adventure. The following day, Jess was doing a tour in Hollywood with like her family, and I just had my kids, my Ruby and Oski. So I knew there was a place down the road, like a water park, the Great Wolf Lodge or whatever it's called.
Wolf?
Yeah.
Like a dog wolf or like a wolf?
Yeah, like
Like animal wolf?
Animal wolf.
Oh.
Yeah, Great Wolf Tavern, or Lodge. Okay. And so it's an indoor Wet n Wild version. It was huge, huge. They had a wave pool and like like one of those virtual waves where you can like stand up and bodyboard on it and things like that. So anywhere like that, I like, even though it was literally a walk up the road, Uber it everywhere. And for the most part, it was just more so getting them fed, making sure they're buying into what we're doing, and also just pre-planning as well. Because they like to do a lot of looking in shops and things like that. They had, so from Christmas, because we had told our parents and our family and everything else, they got money, and kindly we converted it into the US without the decrease in money. So they had, that amount to take to the US and buy. But we're very clear on like, let's just, like, you can observe and look, but don't buy things straight away. Like, especially Ruby, she likes to buy whatever she sees. Oski's very like, he came back with money. Ruby went way over her budget. So that was funny. But yeah, that like kids. I was actually, like, both Jess and I are very proud of our kids and how they've managed themselves. Like, I think the thing is understanding, and this is something we've talked about before, is learning how they need to come down. So Ruby likes to swim in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
That's her way of like decluttering or debriefing sort of thing.
Yeah.
Oski likes to climb.
Yeah.
And so if
you mentioned this before, he has to climb a tree.
Yeah, he likes to climb or do something physical.
Yeah.
So even this, like we booked a place with a swimming pool, and Ruby was in there almost every day. Oski ended up buying like a little gridiron, and so we would like, the equivalent, like there weren't heaps of trees, but he did find a couple, but he really enjoyed passing the gridiron back and forth in the pool and stuff like that. That's as well. So and that was their way of like just having chill time, like having their iPads. Another big tip is we actually got US SIM cards, so that they could use their iPads and internet whilst away. And it's and it's the same for me. Like I actually got a US number, and that was sort of helpful with the because especially with Optus, it's like $5. It's $5 a day, but you've only got 5 gigabytes or something like that, and then it goes literally $1 per megabyte. So if you are not careful or you go over, it can really hurt you anyway. Yeah.
Good tips, man. Yep. Yeah, there's a real natural sort of inclination as a parent to try and do too much stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Keep them entertained, but often like the fact that you're in this crazy new country, different sights, smells, heat, different, shapes and sizes and colors of people and
food,
and food and accents and everything. Even things like crossing the road in another country, you don't have the whoop, 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 like it's a different process.
Even just walking on the sidewalk, like remember, like we drive on the left-hand side, so we typically stay the left. You stay on the right-hand side, and like people in America take their side of the sidewalk very seriously.
Move it, asshole! I'm walking here.
I'm walking here. Yeah, so
that's great. Yeah, okay, that's great. That's great to know. Yeah, giving your kids space to regulate and chill, because you do that for yourself, right? I mean, absolutely. You think kids just want more and more and more, but you kind of and they hold it together well. But sometimes I find with my kids, at least, on a big, busy, activity-filled day, they hold it together during the activities. You're like, they're having fun. As soon as they're at home, just feel safe. That's when it comes out. They feel safe to let out those big sort of feelings and. That's awesome.
And just to add in, we did include rest days. So there was a rest day. There was technically the day that we spent at the Great Wolf Lodge was a rest day. And then we had another rest day on top of that. But we only spent a couple of hours there. That was, to them, that was relaxing anyway. So there wasn't heaps of walking and stuff. So
how good, man. Well, very good lessons for parenting, especially as we travel to the next, as I head out traveling for my next big overseas holiday in about 10 days' time, as of recording this one. And now this is the big one, is you run a business where you and your wife are the main people running the business.
Yes.
Right? And you're obviously away on holiday.
Yes.
And so, yes, it's an online business. Yes, you have staff and team to take care of a lot of the delivery. Yep. Firstly, you cannot film when you're over there. So that is, I know that you were packing in a lot of film dates before and after.
Yeah.
Editing and delivery taken care of for the most part by your team.
Yeah.
But you're in charge of sales. You're in charge of client relationships. Mm-hmm. Moving towards the holiday, what did you do to prepare for 2 weeks off?
Good question. All right. So as you mentioned, one of the things that I strategically did was months out, I knew that I was going to be away. So even with our podcast, we did a whole stack of episodes just before. The week I'm back, we're doing a whole stack of episodes.
Yep.
And it will be the same for when you come back. One after this, we'll need to book in. So it's the same. I stacked all of my film days to make sure that I've got the people who need to film prior are covered. The people who need to film after, I'm doing some filming tomorrow. Got a trip to Melbourne booked for next week, and so everyone's pretty much sorted. That was the first thing. Second thing is I turned off my ads and basically haven't done any sales. Funny enough, and it makes me appreciate, I've still had leads come through, just organically, which is really cool. And it makes you realize, it reiterates the importance of content and all the other things that I talk about as well. And then lastly, so Jess scheduled everything all leading up to it. However, you can only schedule for TikTok 10 days in advance. So she did have to do some scheduling. She had to take her laptop and do some scheduling whilst we were away. But you know what I was really appreciative of? And I think this is this is also a part of like just being transparent is, and I would love to hear from your perspective as a client, right? We sent a big email out to everybody and explained exactly what we're doing. We explained, what to do. Like basically, if there is an issue, we will still be checking the inbox, which we did. But for the most part, I didn't have my emails on my phone. I turned them off. I was checking every couple of days. Yep. There were probably 3 things that happened. Like one was like we posted out a video for someone on Anzac Day. Probably didn't suit, like she already approved it, but like she asked us, can we repost this tomorrow? It just doesn't suit the fact that it's Anzac Day.
Okay, yeah.
Which was not a problem. We were able to sort of do that, execute that quite quickly because it's Hawaii. We're only 4 hours behind, in front or behind, whenever. So that was quite easy. And then the others was like someone was just following up on a video that our team executed. And then, there was a film day that literally happened the day before we went away. And it was just a little bit of communication. Other than that, I don't know whether everyone was just super respectful in the fact that we were away. And that like, we just have that relationship where it's sort of like, I'm going away. You can, like, if there is an issue, we will address it. Otherwise I'll be back on deck. And for the most part, no one really asked, like we never really got any like inquiries or anything like that needed to like, oh fuck, we need to stop what we're doing and fix this. And then, which was cool because, like everything, like for the most part, there was an ongoing project that our team had to manage, and it was in Slack. And that was the coolest part is our team. So we've got 6 team members in the Philippines who are all editing videos, basically getting up to date. We come back and they're ahead of their work now. Like they're working ahead, mainly because there's been a little bit of a gap and
film days,
and they're about to get smashed with different film days and whatnot. So that's that. But also, pardon me. But also, that was really cool to be able to like. I was a little bit concerned about leaving one of my team members on the front line to deal with like a client. But I was blown away with the outcome. Like Shah, giving a massive shout out to Shah, our team member. She was working with a particular client who like was after some very specific edits, and this is all ongoing whilst we're away. And like I was checking in on the Slack channel, but everything was cool. Like she had it sorted, and I was so proud of not only her but the team, and just what we've been able to create as well. Because one of the things you're sort of saying, but without saying it, is like you do worry. Like, are things gonna is things gonna melt? Like, is there gonna be fires that I have to put out whilst I'm away that I can't actually do? And for the most part, like invoices got paid. The videos were being managed, and I think it all comes down to good systems, good communication, and like
Matt,
it was.
Did you set aside any time? Were you checking in with your team once a day? You just winged it and then said, if you need me, message me. But other than that, I'm not here.
The last thing I said to Shah Shah is like our main manager, who sort of heads the majority of our editing team. The last thing I said to Shah before I left was, I can't remember the exact words, but it's something along the lines of, I trust you. I trust that you, if there is a call that you need to make, we trust that you're going to make that call, and we'll work it out if it needs to be worked out. But for the most part, she didn't really have to like make any calls or anything out of like the ordinary, other than she stepped up her communication with like this particular business. They're happy. We're doing some filming for them tomorrow. So yeah, everything's sick, really
that's
good.
The dream, right? That's the thing. Like that's one of the swings and roundabouts of online business is that you could have made the choice to be working an hour or two a day while you're there. I'll probably do that in Fiji because there's naturally times when my kids are just napping or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it makes my life a lot easier if I just do that. But also, you can choose to do what you did and and basically switch off and say, if you need me. And that takes a lot of trust in your team.
Yeah.
But also what I've found is they often thrive on that and they step up.
Yeah.
If they're always there and they can always ask you a question, then they'll always ask you the question. But if they just have to do things without you being there, then they'll double and triple check and make sure that it's perfect before it goes out. And Absolutely. I've done it 2 or 3 times where I've taken a week off and things go fine.
Yeah.
They go fine.
Yeah. And so I definitely had like the stress of like, oh, is everything going to be okay? Is everything going to work out? And honestly, once I was over there, I probably realized, like, I think I got 4 or 5 days in and I hadn't checked. I was like, oh, fuck, I haven't checked anything. And I went in and I could see all of the communication between Shah and this business and a couple of other things. And I was like, I really can switch off. Like, I really like that. I was so happy that like I really did lose track of time. I really lost track of what was going on, and everything was fine.
Yeah.
So I think coming back, I think it comes down to really good communication, empowering the people around you, and it also, I think, like, just a reflection point. Even today, right? So I didn't need to come over 3 hours early, but I did.
Yeah.
And it was partially because I gave myself this week just in case shit did hit the fan and I needed to run around and do things. But like, I came over 3 hours early because, one, we've always been late walking in here. So I was like, I want to be early this time. But 2, like, because I've got so much space and time, you know, I know that things are going to get a little bit busier starting tomorrow and next week, etc. But like, for the most part, I've got a lot of space and time, and it's made me really evaluate. Like, sometimes naturally, if sales aren't where I'd like it to be, or like, oh, I can get some more sales if I do this, or I can spend this time doing that, and it's like, no, just calm the fuck down and just be present and just enjoy it. Like. You know, I made a couple of phone calls, you know, whilst I, you know, and did some bits and pieces on my laptop. And then, like, but for the most part, I was just catching up. Business, I booked a meeting for next week, and I did a couple of other things. And I just feel so present and so focused on what we're doing now. And yeah, just feel really good, like, feel refreshed, clear.
Great.
Yeah, don't feel like I have a lot of head noise. For some reason, I just felt like I had a lot of head noise.
Yeah.
Just trying to do a lot of things before I left. But yeah, just feel a lot clearer.
Well, it'll come back. It'll come back.
Just wait.
Just wait. A couple of weeks, you'll be back in it and thinking, why the fuck aren't I in Hawaii anymore?
Yeah.
How good, man. Well, I think, you know, you've ticked a lot of boxes there. You've given us a great rundown of what was a lovely family holiday. Managing the parenting thing, the business thing. You went in with a plan and you got to stick to it most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's the best you can really hope for.
Absolutely.
That's sick, man. I'm looking forward to taking those tips on board.
Yep.
And yeah, giving you a rundown of my trip in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah. And look, there's a couple of things that I haven't talked about, and I won't talk about now, but there is like an entire strategy around what's called the Genie Plus, which is basically using the fast lane, plus a couple of other things. So if anyone ever is planning to go to Disneyland and wants to have a quick 5 to 10 minute chat about like strategy on the theme parks, etc., please hit me up. I'd love to, like, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And there's things that I would do differently now knowing, but yeah, for the most part, I enjoyed my time. I probably would not go back for another couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, really enjoyed my time.
Great little pitch at the end there.
Yes.
For Alan Howle's consulting strategy, Disney Genie Pass Consultant Program.
Yeah, but it's a free consult, so there you go.
Free consult. Why are you there?
Can't go wrong. Complimentary. I shouldn't use the word free. Complimentary.
Complimentary Disneyland strategy session.
Yeah.
I love it. Would you be against hopping on a call to talk a little more?
Not a problem.
No, I wouldn't be against it. While you're there, do you need someone to follow you around with a video camera?
Do you need a D-Rock?
Personalized video experience.
There you go.
Good. How good, man. Well, thanks so much, man. I think that's been good for both of us. As friends, we've caught up. As podcasters, we've hopefully taught the people a thing or two about, giving them some experiences they can draw from should they get into their own Californian adventure.
There you go.
How good, man. Love you to bits, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week on Dadvertising. Aloha and peace out.
Muchas gracias.